excuse me, unable to get in contact with both Shelby and Kaylee right now. Both of their phones went straight to voicemail. Excuse me. What I recommend that we do, since we do have uh, three individuals here to share background information on their requests, the recommendation is to go ahead and proceed, at least here in the background of this information, understanding that right now we do not have a quorum to approve the agenda and the previous minutes. But however, I think you all can hear some of the scope and details of these grant requests. And then either we can pick up things later on when we have the other team members, even before the next meeting, either establish something special or just move things along, or at that next November 3rd meeting, take these grant requests back up for your deliberation, is what I recommend. So we can use our time, especially with, we've got Jamie Little here from the Indian Valley Community Services District, and Clint Cobley and Samantha Lenhart from the Indian Valley Innovation Hub. Just so they can share out their piece. They've made time for this today, so we can at least have them discuss the background of their grants and at least have that summarized to move forward into the next meeting. Is everybody good with that?
Sure. Yeah, we're here.
Okay.
Let's rip.
Okay. Yeah. Great. We'll go ahead and tee off with the Indian Valley Community Services District grant request. So we're joined today by their interim general manager, Jamie Little, who's going to provide some information on a $25,000 grant request titled the Transparency and Community Communications Initiative for the CSD. Jamie, going to go ahead and turn it over to you to provide any of that background information.
Okay, thank you. It's nice to meet everyone. Thanks for having me. IVCSD, we're seeking funding to improve public access to information and strengthen transparency by providing monthly newsletters, timely press releases, social media management, ongoing transcription of meetings, and archival transcription of past meetings and recordings. The project addresses a critical gap with limited staff capacity and heavy operational demands following the Dixie Fire. IVCSD has not been able to consistently produce meeting minutes, manage public communication, or distribute updates. Funding will allow the district to ensure residents, fire survivors, and ratepayers are consistently informed about board decisions, infrastructure priorities, and recovery efforts. We're trying to build back public trust in the district and provide transparency so everybody knows what's going on. It will ensure customers and ratepayers impacted by the Dixie Fire are informed. Press releases and transcription for board meeting minutes, social media updates are provided with timely information. It strengthens the capacity in a district with limited staff, allowing the board and staff to focus on infrastructure while clear communication is established. And so communication systems are set up, taking the burden off of staff. We would like to do a monthly community newsletter, press releases, social media management, ongoing meeting transcription, backlog transcription for transparency. Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the need here.
Great, thank you, Jamie. And we'll turn things over here to the steering committee to ask some questions or maybe provide some comments. But oftentimes when a grant is requested, other funding sources or other ways to sustain this capability or this requirement after it's been funded are often asked or discussed. It looks like you have provided some information here with regard to the organizational capacity and then the leverage and sustainability of the CSD. But are there any other additional funding streams that you'd like to elaborate on after this $25,000 is used to provide for this new position potentially?
Well, I'm hoping that if we can get our past meetings transcribed and taken care of, it won't be such a heavy load. There are old meetings that have not been posted. The minutes weren't done. We are working on our budget, a rate study, hoping to cover our operating costs with our operating income. So hopefully this will help us get our past stuff taken care of, and then we will be able to keep up. We don't necessarily maybe need another position once we're caught up.
Okay,
That's
good. That's helpful. Matt, are you still on? Oh, here he comes. Matt, did you have a question?
Yeah, sorry. Three questions. So I thought IVCSD had loads of money, number one. Number two, have you in terms of transcribing all the meetings and stuff, have you looked at using these kind of AI clients, these AI apps? They're really useful, and I think that we use them at DFC, but they're really useful. They're really very, very simple, fast way of doing it. And then the third point is that DFC, likely when we kind of wrap things up in the next few months, we're going to have a load of communication as equipment, like I don't know, we spent like $5,000 or more on like cameras and microphones and all this stuff to make it really good for communication with the community, and I think that was a great investment. And I think that in terms of maybe we could donate that to you guys to help with community communication, you know, because it's like really nice kit. It works really well. Anyway, those are my three thoughts.
that would be very generous and amazing. As far as the CSD having loads of money, there were a lot of grants applied for. I'm trying to sort through them. I'm working on the budget, and I'm working with CSDA to try to get things straightened out. At this point, I don't think the district is bringing in enough to cover their operating expenses. There is some money put away in savings, but every month a little bit gets taken out to cover our costs. So we have a certain amount of time. And then there won't be any more money unless we do something to cover our operating costs as far as the rate study goes. And I can't remember the second.
Oh, the second one was, have you thought about using AI for
Yeah,
transcribing?
we do use it now for our current meetings. The
Right.
problem is there's several old meetings we've had information requests for that there aren't anything, there's nothing transcribed for those. So we totally could use that. Scan the minutes. I'm not sure if we could do it for those past meetings, but it's definitely something we do now.
Okay. Thank you, Jamie. Danny Steyer, you have your hand up. You have a question?
Yes, actually, mine is really more along the paperwork, if it were. The documentation, it still has Adam Cox's name on there. It has your name, Jamie. It has Wanda Carpenter and has Susan Duran all involved on the paperwork that was submitted. So I'd like the paperwork submitted to reflect the responsible parties. Sure,
Danny, I can address one part of the, so when Wanda Carpenter, when she revised the $200,000 grant that the CSD requested back in July for the park project, we did request via North Valley Community Foundation that Adam Cox's user information was removed from the CSD account. And I think it's identified in two places, one as a signer and one is just general point of contact at our organization. And it looks like the point of contact information was not removed, but that's a clerical item that can be addressed pretty quickly.
Yeah,
Was that missed?
I don't know that you can change it. I think it's something we have to do
Yeah.
at the foundation. What happens is every time a new user comes in, sometimes they create a new account and then we have a hard time. Sometimes we got to go in and merge and delete the old folks and put. So if we know,
Right.
like, if you're the new Adam Cox per se per now, and we should remove his name and put your name in, we could certainly do
It did
that.
create a new,
I-
yeah.
Yeah, and I had
and that's,
submitted,
people do that because they can't get into his account, so they
Yeah.
create another one and then, but we can clean it up from our end, as far as.
and I had submitted a
that.
request to have that information removed in July. It looks like it just didn't happen.
Yeah,
That's all.
I
As far
can take care
as-
of that.
As far as the other names, I think those are all correct, just Adams is that.
And Danny, from my understanding is that Jamie as the applicant on behalf in her role as the interim general manager, that's why she's on there. And then Wanda Carpenter as chairwoman of the board and Susan Duran as another board member.
They're
Since
both
they're both,
signers, yeah.
they're
Right,
both signers.
I just, but it's the engineer me, okay? That's just the way it is. And slash, it's the details are important, they have to be followed, otherwise something gets us later. So I'll withdraw my complaint if it gets corrected or when it gets corrected.
Yeah, 100%. No problem. Team, other thoughts or comments for Jamie while we have her on the line? Okay, it
I
doesn't
guess
look.
I have one more that I
yes.
have to ask, even though it's not our funding. I think you're looking at this stage, it's Dixie Fire Collaborative funding. Jamie, where are you guys with your PG&E settlement?
We just had a meeting with our council and they're still going back and forth. So we haven't gotten an offer to accept yet or decline, whatever the board decides to do. They're still mediating.
Okay. And when you mentioned that you have money in the bank that you guys are kind of pulling from every month, I mean, typically, at least from the foundation, we kind of like to know all the pieces of the puzzle. As far as, is there millions sitting? I have no idea what your insurance settlement was. I don't,
There are a few million. It was a grant fund that was open for use. It wasn't restricted. As far as
Okay.
I know, I've been here since August, so I wasn't here when they received it.
And who did the grant come from? Do you have any idea?
Oh, yes, but I can't think of the name right now. Let me see if I can ask.
I'm just curious if it's the same, like, I don't know. It's usually we like to know kind of the whole puzzle
Right.
piece.
Right. Let me ask.
It's up to this committee to decide how they want to go with their funds. But if we were looking at foundation dollars, we would definitely want those pieces of the puzzle.
I believe it's Megan Dolly grant.
So
I
that
might-
was a grant that Senator Dolly is secured for Community Services District through the state.
Yeah.
I wonder if it was FEMA money. Anyhow,
It wasn't.
If it
FEMA.
came,
no,
no, I mean, if it came from Megan Dolly, it would have been a state
grant.
Mhm.
grant.
Okay.
And that should be one that could be found even by contacting her office, which that might be something I could do if anyone's curious. Yes, Lida, you have your hand up.
Well, I mean, Kim raised this issue of what other funds there are, and I think that's a relevant inquiry for us to have information about. If there's $3 million in the IVCSD account, how is that being accounted for, and why can this, what looks like a temp?
I can't hear you.
I mean, I don't know how much money there is there, but I'm just saying I think it's
Lida,
a
you
relevant
cut out just
inquiry.
Yeah, you cut out briefly after you said
Okay.
something about $3 million sitting in an account.
Can you
I'm
re-
just saying it would be good for us to know what the pot is that is available. We have other people that are also asking for money
Mhm.
at this stage of the game, and what we have left is limited. So we need to be able to gauge the relative importance of this particular request in terms of what we have and what they have and compare it to the other requests that are being made of us?
There is about, I think, 3 million in the class fund, but it is coming out monthly to cover operating expenses. So there's a limited amount of time here that we're going to be able to sustain that. Yeah, maybe if we don't get our operating income and expenses straightened out, we have, I haven't done the math, but I'd say 2 years, 3 years, if we keep going like this, that we need to do things differently to sustain.
Danny, you have your hand up.
Yes, I have a question as to the funds that people chose to keep paying their fees since when their houses were destroyed and there was no services. And there was encouraged questions that if you stop paying your fees, then you'll have to be charged a 5,000, whatever the reconnect fee was. But if you leave the fees go, then it won't happen. And so my question is, what's been done with all those fees, and how has for those people who had automatic payments going, they just chose to keep them going. Well, I know a few of them. So what is the status of that, and how much of that has been banked, if you will, to use?
That would be our operating income. It would be our water and wastewater rates. It's used for operating expenses, and then we have to pull a little bit out of the class fund to cover the rest of the operating expenses. I am looking into the fees. There was a resolution passed to cut base rates in half. That's my understanding. I have not found the resolution yet. And it looks like those rates are still cut in half on our billing software. So I think they did try to give people a little bit of a break. When you look at a budget, if we don't have any water and wastewater base rates coming in, then it's not sustainable. But I understand people lost their homes and continuing to pay a utility. That's rough.
Okay. Any additional questions or comments? Yes, Sherry Kest.
So we were paying half rates, 36 something a month, and now we're back up to 78 as of several months ago.
Okay, well, we're looking, I don't think that the billing software has been billing people correctly. It doesn't look like to me when I look at the reports. I'm having a hard time pulling accurate reports from that billing software. I did ask the board if we could look into getting new billing software that's going to be accurate. It sounds like a lot of people's bills have been inaccurate. So it's good to know. How many months ago was your bill?
I don't remember. I can go back and look while you're talking about the next subject.
That would be.
I don't remember offhand, but it's easy enough for me to look.
Your checkbook.
So overall, just to kind of summarize a little bit, so there's a $25,000 grant that the CSD is pursuing for one-time staffing rates in order to get caught up on some of their public relations items, whether it be meeting minutes, and then also establish communication streams in the community between social media presence, newsletters, and maybe even direct emailing, I think. And also at issue is just the current revenue streams that the CSD currently possesses, whether that be through previous grant funding, post-disaster, It's important to note that whatever they were at, customer and service wise, in July of 2021, whatever that rate was has been significantly reduced in the last 4 years. And so I've asked a couple times, I've gotten anywhere between 10 to 25%, or actually, so a 90 to 75% reduction in usage ever since the fire. So that's their normal sort of operating revenue stream that's been coming in. And then, of course, the elephant in the room is the potential for a sizable PG&E settlement that the CSD is still working through with their attorneys and going through the mediation process whenever that ends. So those are a couple of the issues at hand. Jamie, I'll be in touch with you, excuse me, as to whether or not your presence, if there's additional if there are additional questions or comments needed by the time the steering committee takes us back up on November 3rd at our next meeting. And of course, for the team, if you have questions or comments you'd like to shoot Jamie, I think her email address is in the grant, but worst case scenario, I'll send that out to everybody.
Yeah, feel free, please.
And then we'll just keep deliberating on it as we get a quorum and figure out what we can do with the limited funds that the DFC still has remaining, which is just for the benefit of the broader audience. Danny has calculated that we're roughly at about a funding level of $38,000 remaining that's available right now. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that later on in the meeting, but that's kind of what we're playing with right now.
Just one question for Jamie. When's the next IVCSD board meeting?
It is 17th of November. Let me check and make sure.
Okay, we just missed one.
Yes, we have
Okay.
one on the 15th.
Okay,
And our next regular meeting is the 19th of November, but I'm anticipating having a special meeting in between. There's some things that have come up that we're going to have decisions made on. So I will give as much notice as possible. If you send me an email and I have your email, I can get you on our emailing list so you get notifications.
Okay, let's do that. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
All right. Well, Jamie, thank you very much. And we're going to go ahead and move on
Yep,
to
thank you.
the Innovation Hub.
Good rest of your day.
You too. You too. We'll be in touch, Dean.
Okay.
So again, no approved agenda, but for just our own benefit and background knowledge and information, Clint Cobley and Sam Lenhart are both here to share 3 grants that the Innovation Hub has submitted grant requests for. And I think we can go ahead and start with the first 2. So all told, we've got 3. One is the move-in relocation grant request, which this is kind of the second or maybe third time folks have heard about this concept. The second one is an Indian Valley employment grant opportunity for Indian Valley businesses. And then the third is a small grant request that would support e-commerce platforms for the Made in Plumas program from the Indian Valley Innovation Hub. Clint, I think if you're ready, kind of turn it over to you to
I'll start.
summarize some of that.
I have a couple of announcements. Earlier, Pat, you had said myself and Samantha from the Innovation Hub. I'm from the Innovation Hub. Samantha is not only with the La Sierra Chamber as myself, but Samantha is the CEO of Bliss Branding. So she's really not part of the Innovation Hub. Great supporter. She's the one that did this wonderful program, all that stuff. So, and she can mention more of that. I just also wanted to mention, and this is probably for your benefit, Kim, Patrick brought it to my attention today that we are not registered with the Attorney General of the state of California, which is, I can't believe I missed that because I have a pack of all of our applications, whether it's the California nonprofit bylaws, You know, if it's our EIN number, it's our nonprofit status, it's our fictitious business name, state of California, nonprofit corporation of public benefit, our SAM number, our NAICS number, our workman's comp, our general liability, all those things. And somehow I forgot the attorney's general registration. So I will be making sure that we apply for that, you know, so I apologize for that, you know, so, and I did send Pat a whole packet. It's just called IVH papers. It has all of those that I mentioned, you know, so, but I will get that attorney general application, and I apologize for missing that somehow. And as Pat said, yes, this is I think it's our second request for this wonderful program. I think you've all heard from Sam, who's done, you know, so much research and has put this together. We actually started this program 3 years ago. We started a move-in concept. Samantha took it about 2 years ago, ran it through the Lost Air Chamber, and then a year ago, she came up with this a wonderful move-in project. And after researching, I think 19 communities throughout the country, and found out just how successful they all are. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to you, Sam, because you've done so much of the legwork here. And if anybody has questions, she's probably the one to answer better than myself. So go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I don't want to waste your guys' time because we already pitched this. So I just wanted to, you know, we're on here. If you guys have any very specific questions, the latest update that we have is we have 2 donations right now, and the Almanar Foundation, once we get our full funding in, will create us as a fund for continued funding. We are going through the nonprofit Indian Valley Innovation Hub to collect monies, donations, grants, etc., into a very specific bank account called the Move In. So all of that's on the up and up, which is fantastic, and reporting and transparency through those board meetings. And so, yeah, I just wanted to know if you guys had questions. Where we're at right now is we need $20,000 to launch the campaign for a 6-month run. So that's really the goal right now. We would love to be able to, which we really do believe we will be doing within the next month, a great sponsor possibility, which we're like 99%, which is SPI, which is awesome. They just are very excited about this program. So I think we're going to be able to get off the ground running. We want 125,000 for the full year. That would be 10 families recruited in, as well as covering a minimum of $2,500 a month to advertise and be competitive against Zillow, etc., who's just advertising everything. We're going to be advertising our community. Since we talked to you last, we've had conversations like Plymouth District Hospital, for example, and they said, we have literally tried every which way on the planet how they legally can advertise to get people into their jobs. They have like 70 open positions, nurses, LPs, I mean, you name it, highly competitive salary, and they just can't get people because they're under pretty strict regulations on how they can recruit, basically. So this would be like a backdoor on how they could recruit. Hey, come live here. You could apply to get $5,000 to move in. And by the way, we have these awesome jobs. So it'd be a way for them to support in a backdoor way of more lifestyle recruiting, which they ethically cannot do as a hospital, which I found interesting. We learned a lot about that. So I think this is a very creative outlet for many of our really large employers that are super struggling to compete on Monster and Indeed and you name it, with more rural communities. One of the top searches, which I also found interesting, I just pulled before our meeting, is mountain house by a lake. Mountain house within 1 hour driving distance from a lake. So these searches, which we are getting beat by, the top one was Oregon. There's a rural community in Oregon. There was one down towards Fresno that was doing recruiting, and I'm talking more rural. So Google, we have software we can pull the counties that are recruiting right now actively to move into their county. We can see populations. So but we're getting beat out by a lot of rural communities and their ads are not amazing. So, we have a really cool opportunity to get those searches. And when we talk to Plymouth Housing Council, the nice part is with their build out of plymouthhousing.com, which is going to be able to put ad dollars towards advertising the Welcome Home Greenville home. A lot of, a focus on homes in burn scar communities to launch, but two tones that they have for that website. One, advertising to people within the area. Hey, these are opportunities. You could purchase a home, but more of the big dollars to purchase outside where people have searched affordable mountain living, but they've also been kayaking before because we can see they searched it, or they started an Airbnb and did mountain biking. So we call it kind of the rings of fire with advertising. So that's new, where we're able to really across the United States throw a very large net. And if we can get to at least $2,500 a month in ad spend, we basically add a second ring that says, hey, whoever's searching affordable home, mountain homes, etc., move my family or single or rentals in a mountain area, we can add that second ring around and kind of make it more targeted. So that's the updates as of now in terms of the website. Once we get this second wave of funding in, then we'll be able to complete it. And so the question that I've had asked to me is it better to launch the website after Christmas? Like, are people not looking? Or should you launch a campaign now? And the thing is if we have people that want to make investments by the end of the year, it's good to launch now because it's a nice write-off for them. But there's really no time is a bad time right now. We haven't seen search volume really dip. I was just on the phone with Susie from Plymouth Association of Realtors, and she's like, it's like the busiest time of year for me right now. So there's, I don't think that question's very relevant, but if we're looking to move in families into the area, they'd want to be able to look, get something, get into the application process and be ready to shift and get a new job, before the next school year starts. So that's updates, but I want to know if you guys had general questions, because I know I talked your ears off last time on the program, like about what we're doing for the program.
For both Clint and Sam, the connection between the Innovation Hub and the Almanor Foundation. Sam, you just said that there was that the Almanor Foundation would be, I think, managing the funds. And just from like the lines of keeping things sort of neat and tidy, of having, one nonprofit who's kind of managing all this, is there really a need for the Almanor Foundation to do this? Or
yeah, I love this question. So there was a law that just got passed in July for every community foundation in America. They now have to follow new guidelines. You can no longer, as a community foundation, accept funds as they trickle in. You have to accept the lump sum of funds, and then you can start managing the program for them. So, hey, I want to open a lemonade stand. I'm going to get $1 here and $1 here. They legally cannot do that anymore. So they did not even tell us that. We didn't know that. So after we were on the call here, you're like, well, why would we give to the hub? And then we're, that's giving to, we need just one line. So we said to them, hey, we don't need the hub. Like, we'll go directly to you guys and this will be much cleaner for us anyways. And they said, actually, we legally can't do that anymore. So they had to have multiple conversations with people that were applying for their funds as well, that they had to go out and get, if you're looking for 3 grants before you can get started, we have to have all those grants already accepted and accept that lump sum of money. She's like, it's pretty treacherous for them. Honestly, as a community foundation, it's made it very difficult. So on our end, like SPI, for example, there is very easy contracts in place as a nonprofit and for transparency and reporting purposes when you're making donations. So we're just going to follow those guidelines, which Almanor Foundation said, absolutely, if you need any help with that. But when we get our lump sum, then they'll be basically becoming a fund. So throughout this year, we're going to be doing fundraising for the 125. I have a feeling within the next month that we'll be securing around 26,500 in order to get jump started. We need about 20 to get started for 6 months. As a reminder, for you guys, we need the 125. I mean, I could spend 500 and get more families in, but what we need is basically to prove to a federal organization that helps rural communities, we have to have a recruiting program in place for at least 1 year. And we have to have proven that we have moved into applications that have been awarded grant monies and moved into our community. And then we're able to apply for a sustainability grant that's 3 years. So just as
Okay.
a like, how is this going to continue?
Yeah, thank you for the information about the community foundation.
Yeah, brand new.
Financial pieces. I'm gonna follow up on that a little bit, just to kind of get smart on that because I don't know anything about that.
Yeah, Melissa and Susan can kind of explain it super in depth to you. So it's basically every community foundation now, and it went into place in July, and now it's kind of the whip is coming down, and they can't keep doing it.
Perfect. And then I think if we move forward, something that actually Kim brought up that I missed is on the grant itself, first authorized signer is you, Sam. However, since it's also you that's doing a lot of the work, it kind of runs the risk of being a conflict of interest that the person applying for the grant is also doing the grant, is also doing the work. So Clint, that's my error right there. I should have caught that sooner. But we would like to kind of clean that up as well. That would the organization that eventually takes in the funding, if this gets approved in the future, we'd like to have that separate from you, Sam.
Yeah, I didn't even know I was the signer, so that sounds good to me.
Okay.
It's already a clause in there, anyways, that the committee, the application committee, I can't be a part of any votes that have to do with ad spend. I can put recommendations in, and so that clause is already in there.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. And as the applicant, I did put down the Union Valley Innovation Hub on the grant application.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, because I'm not a part of that.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, it just kind of goes back into like this circular sort of thing of the Innovation Hub as opposed to the Amador Foundation. And then if the Amador Foundation is taking 10% to be the holder of the funds as an admin fee, is it necessary in the long term? Because it's really the Innovation Hub that is planning on doing the fund allocation in general.
Full transparency, what they said to us was, unless you're getting a grant from the county, you can probably just do this through a nonprofit organization like the Hub, because the county requires such strict guidelines for reporting. That's where that admin time comes in and release of dollars and all that stuff. But there's general guidelines of donation and programs like this. And we would need to do it very to the T anyways with the Hub as the charity, because I would then need to use everything we did to apply for that federal grant in a year. So it's pretty strict. But they were like, listen, it'd be great if you used us. That's 10% and that's a profit for us. But you know, they're the strictest guidelines. When they heard that we were pitching the board of supervisors, that made sense. So in a year, we're going to be going back to the board of supervisors. So maybe that will continue to make sense. But yeah, you can definitely talk in depth, because if anyone is coming to you that says, oh, I can use, you know, the Amador Foundation, and they don't have full monies yet, they can't be a fund. So it might be just be good to know in general anyways for you guys.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Team, questions, comments?
So how much money's been raised to date for this project?
We have $6,000.
Okay.
$6,100.
$6,100, yeah. So we have the La Sierra Chamber of Commerce commitment, and then we have a personal commitment as well. So our ask to SBI is 20, and Clint's going to be going on an actual walk of their facilities to learn about them and the recruiting and all this stuff. I'll be on FaceTime with Clint, kind of walking through. So they get a special landing page on the site as an employer for their donation to get the program started. So, or like 99.9% in. And so that's coming up next week.
Yeah, and it's our third meeting with SBI. And in fact, they've asked for the last 2 meetings, so we know they're very much interested.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Greg, you have a question?
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, I mean, like Southern Pacific, but all the other major employers, what's the level of commitment on any of them? I mean, the hospital, they want you to advertise for them, but they can't give you any money. Is that correct?
No, the hospital has asked us to give them levels so that they can go to the next board meeting to pitch the levels. They're like, I'd like to pitch a 50 and a 20 and a 10, give me levels. And when we just correct at the moment. So we're going to be putting that together, but they're definitely interested. And then Seneca, Plume Association of Realtors, Indian Valley Chamber are our three other kind of larger asks.
Have any of the other chambers or contributed or are?
We have
I mean,
Las Vegas Chamber now, and then Indian Valley Chamber will be a bigger ask because we'll do specific burn scar community ad campaigns. And then Quincy Chamber, we're not holding our breath, but we will ask. And yeah, La Sierra Chamber gave.
We're meeting with the chamber. I think it's November 2nd, the first Monday of November on the agenda
Okay.
with that.
What about the Real Estate Association?
Yeah, Plume Association of Realtors. Susan's helping us set up a meeting there. She's like, oh my God, this is right down their alley. So the last couple of months we've been trying to set a meeting with them and we'll hold it down. I think maybe summer is not the best time for them. I have no idea, but yeah, they'll give something. Susan's like that. They're going to give something. This is what they want. And the average realtor in the area can't spend $5,000 a month to advertise. So this is right up their alley.
Yeah, the Association of Realtors already has a program. It's down payment assistance.
Home buyers,
Make
yeah.
it towards- instead of making it towards your house payment or whatever, they make it towards your first year of fire insurance. They're already doing that.
Which is great.
Money's fungible, so.
Yeah. So we'll add that into basically the attractiveness of our county, that if this is your first home, a lot of people that we're seeing kind of in the outskirts of Bay Area that are younger, that like to go on the hikes, they're part of large hiking email databases, but they live there. They're young, they're looking to start a family, and they've only rented. So many of them can't afford a home there. So ad campaigns will be very highly targeted there as well, first-time home buyers. So it'll be interesting just to start gathering the data on who gets into the funnel, honestly.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Hey,
I will say we have not run into one person yet that has told us, no, don't recruit people to move here. We have not. And I will say that 3 years ago when I moved back to the county, it was the reverse. People were like, we don't want to be a truckie. We don't want to be this. It's almost like this downturn of the amount of people, because the county, I think, estimated, Clint, the numbers, it was like a 10% or the amount of people moving out, and it 3x'd over the last 3 years of what they guessed of people moving out. So there's a huge shift of, one, we know we're not going to be truckie. We can't. We don't have millions to pay Tesla to move in. And two, can we recruit the right people to move in? And I think that's a different thought process now, because it can't just be, I want a cheap house, so I'm going to move here. It has to be people also that do like rural, they do like the outdoors. And so these types of campaigns, I think it's a different viewpoint than I have seen before in the last 3 years.
Danny, we'll go with you as a kind of the last question or comment on this topic.
Yeah, I just want some clarification on the document that's filled out. The amount of need says 30,000, then amount requested says 125,000. So that needs to be updated or something. I'm not sure which. I think you need more to run the program. Are those in the wrong spot?
Well, 125,000 is the total cost. Our ask is 30,000 towards that 125,000.
All right, so that's in the wrong spot. So you need to flip those two numbers. As I'm reading, it says total amount of need 30K. And it says total amount requested says 125K. So those are flipped.
Clint, you're fired. Out of there. That's a good catch.
Once again, that's the engineer / treasurer in me. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep track of things. I'm trying to make
the engineering mind. I wish I had more of one. No, that's a good catch. We'll change that. Yeah, 125 is the full program.
All right, thanks.
The only thing though, Danny, is that as I'm looking at the application, it says amount requested. And then, so I put in the total. Yeah, you're right. I think I did flip it. Apologize.
Right.
I can open the application back up and it could be switched.
Can you do that, Kim?
Thanks.
Mhm.
Ken.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks,
know-
guys. Just trying to
Yeah.
dot i's, crossing t's.
Good catch, Danny. Appreciate it.
So
Okay. Oh, go ahead, Kim.
I was just gonna say, I did just have one more question regarding the budget, because, so is the budget basically 62,500 for your website and your ads?
And then the payouts for the applicants. So 5,000 per family or recruitment that comes in. So
Yeah, so 62.5 for the work you're doing, right, Samantha? And then 12,500 to the Elmore Foundation, and then the remaining between the 75 and the 120 is what gets paid to the applicants? Is that it?
So yeah, you're right. That does have to be edited because it was very new that Elmore Foundation can't even take us on. So that admin fee is going to go to ad spend. Well, 62.5. Where are you getting 62.5? So we're asking for 30. Are you saying the total that SPI?
Yeah, the budget that Clint attached to our packet has digital relocation campaign at 62,500.
That's so if we got the total 125, that's our budget breakdown for that 125 that we presented to Board of Supervisors to be very transparent where all the money was going. So yes, the 12.5 needs to be taken out and that will be redistributed back to ad spend. So that doesn't go to my agency, that goes to Google, Facebook, Instagram, that's advertising spend.
So I guess I'm still a little confused, and I'm happy to work with you guys on a budget that is a little bit more transparent
Let's
with.
offline, we'll work on a budget that's not confusing because it's very in my head, non-engineering head, very clear. So we'll work just where that's very clear and transparent.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go next.
Yeah, go ahead, Matt. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can't vote on anything today, and so we've got to come back another 2 weeks. You've got all these other potential funders, whatever, Seneca Hospital, whatever. They've got half a dozen of them. Do you have any ideas that you're going to get other commitments in the next 2 weeks? Because it'd be great if we could go together with whatever one of these other funders, and
We have the meeting with, we have the walkthrough with SPI literally on site that they requested with us next week. So I have a feeling after that, they'll be like, okay, we wanted you guys to see our place and how does the landing page build work out. Literally we're 99.9%. An exact date that they're going to say yes, I have no idea, but hopefully on the walkabout afterwards, I'm going to say, so thanks for the money. I'm going to call Matt. So hopefully we'll know, after that walkthrough.
and you've told them that you're going to ask them for money. You've said like, hey, we're going to ask you for 50 grand or 100 grand or 30 grand or whatever that number is.
Yeah, he said, can I give you 10? I said, how about 20? So the ask is 20,000.
Okay, cool.
And it's
And
on
he
the
said,
next week, Matt, that we're meeting, our third meeting with them, and they requested it. And after we had made the hard ask on the second meeting, so they had patient and they want to meet next week on the 28th, and that's when we think they're going to give us an amount. We're pretty certain.
Yeah. And let's get it. Let's hit the realtors hard because they're coming off from a good summer, have sold a lot of houses, and feeling good.
yeah, the ask is typically higher. As you guys know, we came in our first ask to you at I think 75,000. So we're always going to come in at that amount and then we'll taper back as they give us feedback. But I agree. I mean, this is like their campaign. I mean, move it, like get people in here to buy houses. So it's just a backdoor way of kind of helping the circle of life here in the county that needs help with jobs and placement of homes and et cetera, employees. So yes, I agree. We will hit them high.
And you think so between in the next 2 weeks, you've got SPI. I mean, any other big meetings that you think you might be able to get a commitment with them?
November 3rd is Indian Valley Chamber. So our ask to them is going to be 25,000 out of the monies that they have been awarded for this campaign. And we'll do specific Burn Scar community campaign and advertising for that. And so that's not in the next 2 weeks, but right thereafter. And then the Seneca meeting, we're waiting to, the marketing director is waiting for the CEO to get back to her with a date that works for him. So she's like, it's gonna be kind of a waste of time. It's just me as the marketing person who highly needs this. So yeah, I would say those are our two larger ones, like very quickly.
Cool.
All right, team. A lot of good discussion, a lot of good questions. I think we'll move on to the next item that the Innovation Hub has brought to us today, and that's the Indian Valley Job Creation Grant. Matt and Clint, I know that both of you talked a little bit about this previously, but once again, if there's anything you'd like to illuminate for the listeners,
Well, I'll
now's
just
the time.
I'll just go over it real briefly. The purpose of the grant. The grant request is to help existing and new businesses hire new employees to contribute to the region's economic recovery in the burn scar areas of the 21 in Dixie Fire. The goal is to fund 30 new jobs in the burn scar area in the next 12 months to locally owned and operated businesses. This keeps grant monies local, supports small businesses, strengthens the community, and encourages long-term job creation and entrepreneurship because it'll help new businesses and startups get going, and it'll help existing businesses with their recovery and grow after the Dixie fires. So it provides, some vital financial resources for companies that are just having a tough time, whether they're existing or startups. It's been a difficult time since the recovery. This has been a difficult year in Plumas County. Construction has hurt just about every community, lots of businesses, whether you're in Portola, Chester, Quincy, Greenville, or the lake, you name it. Every business I talked to has been impacted. And this is, I think, a terrific program to kind of be a catalyst to kind of boost things up, for businesses. So very happy to support it. Matt, go ahead if you want to add anything.
No, I mean the thing you hit the nail on the head. So in total, it's $250,000 target raise, of which 10% will be used for admin. It'll be managed by the Indian Valley Innovation Hub, leaving 225,000 for job creation. At $7,500 per job, that equals 30 jobs being funded by the program. The payment comes as I think 3 payments. One at the start, one after a couple of months, and one after 6 months, to encourage the retention of the employee. There is the what's it called, the job creation grant thing that was in Quincy, and now it's kind of closed down, but there may be reopening. Anyway, those guys are similar, but those guys really focus more on hard to hire people coming out of institutions and people who've been long-term unemployed and stuff. This wouldn't be as restrictive as that, but it would be restrictive in terms of areas of the county that were impacted, largely focused on Indian Valley. Yeah, there's some other rules and stuff that we wrote down in the documents as well.
I wanted to mention, what Matt's talking about is the Alliance for Workforce
Sorry, yeah, that's the guys. Yeah,
Workforce Development, and they went part-time this summer. And Matt and everybody, just so FYI, we're going back to full staffing. And I'll have to tell you, Innovation Hub was an applicant itself, but I know other nonprofits and a lot of businesses that benefited tremendously by getting this type of a program, for businesses to help, hire an employee, groom an employee to be in the position that the company wanted eventually. And of course, companies had to be in a position where they could actually hire that person after, the training through the Alliance Workforce Development. So it's a proven program. It's worked really well. And this is kind of parallel to it. It's just that it's coming from a different source. But I don't think there's one company or nonprofit that's say it didn't work, because they all applied for it and appreciated it very much.
Okay, team, thoughts, questions, comments? I think, oh, Danny, go ahead.
Yeah, but so before Kim gets to it, so the question is the budget, the back doesn't add up at all. I don't know how it's tracking. Is that 75,000 times 12, 2,500 times how does it come up with the requested amount, or is it the total amount? I'm not sure what the budget is here.
Well, I'm going, I pretty well took, I think the numbers that I got from Matt and others on this. Specifically, Danny, what was your question again?
Well, you're requesting 35K?
Yeah.
It looks
and-
like it's $35,000 requested from the DFC for an overall fund for the program of $250,000 from additional sources, whether it be the Chambers of Commerce, Plumas County, the Amador Foundation, etc.
But page 9 budget doesn't add up to either the 35K or to the 250K. I'm just trying to get an idea what you're covering there with that.
I don't have a page 9 in my application. It goes
Well,
up.
it's your budget page. It says 9 on my screen here.
Yeah, Clint, it's just the budget that describes the first bullet is $7,500 per new full-time equivalent FTE job created, $5,000 paid up front at the time of employee hire, $2,500 paid after 12 months with a pro rata adjustment if the FTEs didn't occur. So that's the first bullet that Danny is referencing.
Our page 9, Clint, is your attachment of your budget.
Oh, okay.
So that
Yeah.
but you, yeah.
Here, let's see. Why do I do this? Let's just make this.
Actually, it doesn't jive, and it just needs to jive with what we're talking about here. It's disconnected.
So Clint, I think I'm sharing my screen here with you. And this is the piece that we're talking about.
Okay. I wonder if part of it is because, we took a 10% for the total amount, yet we're not asking for the total amount. We're asking for a smaller amount.
Smaller amount, yeah.
I wonder if that may have been it, or maybe I misconstrued that for the full amount. I apologize.
Oftentimes what's helpful in what, at least what I expect to see in the budget page, the narrative's nice, but I like to see a budget where if you say your program is a $250,000 program or whatever you said that is, then I always go straight to the budget and I see, okay, how's that 250 gonna be spent? So that's where you would break out, 25% for your admin fee and then, X amount to businesses. But it's at least it's helpful to us. Also, when we're putting if anything gets funded and we put exhibits together, I put the budget right in there. So it should actually be a budget of 250,000. How are you going to spend the 250,000?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. And having done thousands of budgets, a budget form so that it's easy to understand, would be just drop into numbers might be more helpful, would be helpful.
Well, we have such a diverse group usually people just submit their budget to us, but yeah.
Lida, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just was looking that the thing that says applications would be processed by the Innovation Hub and the Dixie Fire Collaborative. And I'm not sure how that works,
Well,
especially if we don't exist anymore.
That's wrong.
yeah, and I wasn't, I'm not really sure what your situation is or when it ended, or, I mean, I knew it was coming to an end. I didn't know exact date of that. So for transparency, I thought, the two organizations should work together on that, but it is your organization already ended? I mean, why are we here today if the organization is ended? I'm not sure of the date of your the status.
It hasn't ended. It's just we don't have an overall plan of what happens when all the money goes. Are we going to still exist as an organization, or is that our function ended? We haven't decided that. I'm just saying that if in 3 months we don't exist, we're not there to be reviewing any applications.
So I'd like to work with Clint to revise it, because a lot of these things were actually in a version of the plan that were not, I don't think, are reflected in this grant. For example, it was actually going to be, a committee of 3, but with these people, one of them may be coming, it depends on who put the money in, but one from Innovation Hub, and then the other 2 from donors, in terms of having their own little committee for doing these things. So it wouldn't be DFC necessarily. Anyway, I'd like to work with Clint so that we can tidy these things up and edit and make it clearer on the budget and stuff for next time, so that in 2 weeks it can be we can nail it.
Yeah, I think we've got all the numbers. We just probably have to just get them arranged correctly and
Exactly.
and straighten out, moving forward, who should be on, application review process if the DFC is not really functioning. So, I mean, we certainly would welcome anybody. We just would like to see, it'd be nice for us to know who you would prefer that we reach out to.
Yes. Kim, you have your hand up.
And then for the 250,000, so is there been any other commitments at all at this stage of any other funders?
We are also asking the Union Valley Chamber of Commerce on November 2nd or 3rd, the first.
Okay.
So this is our first presentation, and we're going to them next.
Them
I
to
mean, we
have it.
pitched them. The ask was like 100 grand from those guys. So
Okay,
we'll see if we can get that going.
okay. And then do you have anyone else after that? Besides Indian Valley Innovation Hub and DFC, is there any other funders?
Looks like they identified potentially Plymouth County and also the Amador Foundation as potential funders.
Well, we've gotten some mixed messages from Plymouth County because they said that they won't release any funds until they do a strategic plan. Then we got word that now that they've kind of finished a lot of the strategic plan, they would start taking applications. And then right after that, we got a notification that no, they are not taking applications. So we were getting bounced around a little bit. So at the time of the application, we weren't sure what was going on. So we filled it out the best we could.
Okay. Excuse me. Sorry. Okay. Still lots to consider. And other organizations at play here. So thank you for the background and the context of the overall objectives of the grant request. And likewise, for the team here, if you have additional questions, please don't hesitate to send them directly to Clint and Matt. And then we can work on just some of the refinements of some of those items that were discussed on the grant itself. And then the last request that the Innovation Hub has submitted is for $9,600, which is on behalf of the Made in Plymouth County online store. And this is a small grant application. Clint, once again, over to you for some background.
I'll go ahead. And first of all, I want to make it plain that, we're asking several organizations, for this. So this is probably our second, entity that we've made an application to. And basically, here's what it is: the Made in Plumas County online store. It's a project to boost sales for our product makers across Plumas County, particularly those in the burn scar areas for startup companies. Currently, we have about 60 product makers, 60 plus product makers at the Quincy Hub, including 11 from Union Valley. I should tell you, just to give you some numbers, in a little over 10 months since we opened, which was on December 6th of last year for Sparkle, we've had over 18,000 visitors from 40 foreign countries, 48 states. We sold probably, to this point, I had to figure for September uh, uh, 19th, I think, but we sold approximately so far $55,000 worth of products from product makers all across Plumas County. So we expect that in 12 months that we will sell at least $60,000 just from our storefront location. It's a beautiful store, and we've got, like I said, over 61 product makers. We think an online store could easily, we put in some really conservative numbers that could boost sales 20%, 40%, but I think we could probably double the amount of our sales. And this would be particularly good for, the product makers that we represent in Union Valley, to not only have a storefront in one of the busier towns in Plumas County, but then to have an online presence, where they could be selling to anybody, across the country or whatever. So we think this is something that would really help boost sales, commerce, strengthen our businesses, and just get more of a name out for what we're doing here in Plumas County. So we're really excited about it. We think it would be the next big step. We started several years ago with this project. Our first outing was in the 2023 county fair, and we didn't make it last year. But then we were getting ready for the moving in with the Quincy Chamber at the Quincy Hub, in November. So that was our big opening, and it's been a been a great store. I don't know if all of you have seen it. You really should come and see it because everything you see has gone through the hands of somebody in Plumas County. So it's a great store. I really think the online store could do great things for all of our product makers. And so that's the purpose of it.
Okay, thank you for that, Clint. Team, over to you. Questions, comments?
I have a question. Is this going to be using a one of the standard e-commerce platforms? Like I don't know what there is kind of, but there's quite a few software platforms. You're not going to be inventing or writing anything new yourself, right?
Uh, our IT manager just calls it e-commerce expansion. I should have probably invited him to really explain what platform he's using. I can identify that, for you, Matt. I'd have to call him, but um, he's looked at a lot of them, and I think he's going to settle on something that's going to work real easy for us. But
Are you going to sell your stuff on like Etsy? There's a platform that's very, very popular and there's got lots of like handmade craft stuff and millions of people go there. Because what's going to be difficult is if you have just your own website with your own little store, it's going to be difficult to get enough traffic to go there to buy the stuff. I mean, you could probably do both, but you have to have the platform that integrates well with Etsy or eBay or Amazon or whatever the platforms are.
and we've thought about that, Matt. One of the things that we're concerned about is, and I know how this works with getting on, a large distributor. What if one of our product makers suddenly gets tremendous amounts of orders? Do they have the capacity? So we're trying to be careful that we don't start offering something that we can't deliver, if you know what I mean. So we're trying to be a little bit cognizant of that, and we may not put every um, product maker on there initially. And we may, draw up some guidelines to see what type of capacity our product makers have so that we can deliver, when the orders start coming in. So yeah, that's a very, it's a very real concern, but we're willing to try it and build on it.
Okay. Good question, Matt. Greg, you have your hand up.
Yeah, kind of just, I was basically with Matt, like, how are you going to promote this like little baby, website when I mean, it makes more sense in a way to like send products to Etsy or to actually like do that. I mean, like, who's going to pay attention to Made in Plumas in terms of the world, whereas Etsy already has the world's attention.
Yeah. Well, I know our IT manager is looking at several platforms, so I think that's the direction we're going to go. We may set up our own website just to kind of break into it and then break into, a larger platform. We just have to make sure that our product makers have capacity, so they can actually, make the order. So yeah, it's going to be some baby steps there. Just like the store was when we opened over a year ago, we had just 20 some product makers and now there's over 60, and 11 from Indian Valley. So, yeah, we've learned a lot. We've grown a lot. And this is going to be really exciting, but it's also going to be something that's going to be have to be done carefully and done right so that, we can we can deliver and offer a great market for our product makers.
Okay, additional questions or comments on this particular concept?
I would say, just to add for the Etsy real quick, the amount of clients that I have that call me to get off of Etsy post-COVID is staggering. So the fees that Etsy charges, they mandate sometimes that you have to offer free shipping, which is really difficult for these makers. And product turnaround times, and then the views, you're really only getting seen on the platform if you're basically paying for reviews. And so that's big. So a lot of them come off, they get their own website, and really the moneymaker for makers like this, like Clint's saying, where you don't have a mass amount of volume, is just through your email list. So, the visitor center had thousands of people come through in the summer. If you just have a really smart email marketing campaign, hey, here's what's available now, there's one of these, there's 4 of these, it's a really big moneymaker for them. And they go up like 10x in revenue, because Etsy right now is a tiny bit in trouble. They're not seeing bankruptcy, but they're looking at a buyout. I forget who it was. OfferUp, I think, is potentially looking to buy Etsy. Like, there's some problems there. So that's just another viewpoint of probably why I wouldn't even recommend to go on Etsy.
Okay, thank you. Danny, you have a question or comment?
Yeah, I just kind of a comment. It seems good just to go ahead and look at an umbrella website thing for the online website for the store. And then if it goes to a platform somewhere, it can be sold through that store on the platform. So everybody's umbrella that way. But just kind of keeping it close, and only when it starts to expand and it makes sense, then go off and try to truly expand and pick the one with the lowest fees and the most reasonable to, what Plumas County wants to be known for, not just out there to grab money.
And good advice, and really that's kind of where our thought was and still is. I have to tell you, with 18,000 visitors from all over the world that sign our guest book, that talk about our products, or the people that come back to Plumas County and stop in, that want to take, product home with them or send it to their family or loved ones, whatever, having the ability to kind of reconnect with us online so they could get more product in the future. Just another story, Quincy's kind of midway between the south and northern boundaries of the Pacific Coast Trail. It's in the middle. And so we have a strong network of, we call them trail angels, that bring them down from Bucks Lake area and they use our facility because we have an ADA bathroom and shower and stuff. But the average money that they're spending is like over $300, and I sat there at the store and watched them not pick up a lot of stuff because they're hiking. They're getting back on the trail, but they're always picking up some little memento. But people who drive into Plumas County, they buy bigger stuff. But everybody comes through is really, I have to say, just really excited to see that there is such a program made in Plumas County. It's a good brand. You know, Samantha can talk to you about branding, but it instills a lot of pride. You know, so I think it's a great idea. And Danny, you're right. I think just getting a website, growing that, getting our product makers where they need to be, and then shifting. But you know, we want to start somewhere, and we really want to just get our sales up because we our businesses need it, and it'll help us, you know, with our financial sustainability at the store.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for the once around the world on all three of those requests. And it's a lot to consider for the team here. And that is also, it's considered vis-a-vis our current funding, what we have available, and what potential exists in the next quarter. And that kind of dovetails into our next discussion. Sam and Clint, thank you for joining us. You're more than welcome to stay on the line if you want. But we're going to talk about some of our next steps. I also wanted to apprise the team of the potential for a small grant request coming from the high school band, as well as Friends of Plumas Animals. All right.
Guys.
Thank you again, Sam.
I'm in the middle of a construction project and I'm going to have to run, but it's great
Very
to
well.
see you all. Thank you, Kim and Sherry. Cass, it's great to see you. One of these days, I'll bring my bike down and join you. Hope to do it before it gets too cold, but it might be next spring. Who knows? And Patrick, thank you, and thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you, Clint.
You know, it's great to understand your concerns so we can write a better proposal. And I really want to thank Matt because I know he has a natural interest in trying, you know, for the success of his businesses. But I know, just like everybody in Greenville, he wants Greenville to succeed. He wants Crescent Mills to succeed. He wants Taylorsville to succeed. Indian Falls. We all want Indian Valley to succeed. And it's great to be talking about these potential programs that can be the catalyst to, you know, and to really grow, because it's tough out there right now, and it's probably going to get tougher, you know, just because of a number of factors. So won't get into that. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Clint.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just going to share my screen here real quick. All right. I think everybody can see that. All right. So just want to kind of talk about a couple of things that exist in relation to the DFC right now and kind of where we are in the environment. And see if I can get it to, there we go. All right. So one of the things that we've been talking a lot about is that the Greenville Rancheria, of which 2 years ago, so October, November, I think the first time the request came was in September-ish of 2023. And that was looking at, from the Greenville Rancheria, it was an opportunity to gap fund essentially their overall requested build for a health clinic. The health clinic would provide medical and dental clinics plus a brand new pharmacy that would be established for the first time there in lieu of Kevin Goss's pharmacy that he was not going to reopen. One of the things to make this building possible was adding a second story. So the overall lot itself provided at one point a one-floor, one-story clinic. The Rancheria, when they were adding the additional pharmacy, found that they needed more space, or that they would need more space, and also more lot space for a parking lot to accommodate not only regular parking, but also ADA parking. So when the Rancheria first drafted their request, it was for $1.2 million overall funding request. 300,000 would come as a grant from the Dixie Fire Collaborative. 300,000 would come from a loan as a Dixie Fire Collaborative from the Dixie Fire Collaborative, and 600,000 as a loan from North Valley Community Foundation. The terms of that loan still need to be drafted. So Kim and Bill Hubbard, who's the general counsel for North Valley Community Foundation, we talked about it this morning. Just wanting to make sure that we get something on paper and agreed upon what the loan amount is. So presumably the $900,000 here, 3 and 6 split across the two organizations. And then to discuss the conditions and terms of the loan in terms of timeline and if there's going to be any interest. 2 years ago, the discussion was that this would be 0% interest. I met with Grace Bush, who's been the spokesperson for the Rancheria these many months, and she represents them operationally in a lot of the things that they do. So we talked last week, and I gave her a heads up that some type of agreement would be forthcoming, of which she understood. So she wanted to highlight where they are in terms of the prospect of their rebuilding. So they've been looking at, when they initially requested the funds from us 2 years ago, they were thinking it'd be about a $12 million build. At this point, based off of the specs from their architect and engineers, et cetera, it may be in the tune of 16 million. They have funding sources coming from insurance, FEMA, of course, the $1.2 million that I just spoke about, a grant that they've applied for through, it's a tribal grant of up to $3 million. And just like the CSD, there is this potential for a large, I'm saying large PG&E settlement. Nobody really knows, but just given the magnitude of their loss of their previous facility, it would seem like it would be a lot. Okay, so where are they right now? They're currently putting out that estimated $16 million bid out for requests for proposals to go out no later than December 22nd of this year, with bid decisions on behalf of the Rancheria no later than January 22nd. So once again, the aforementioned funding sources are listed there. Okay, so let's talk about the Dixie Fire Collaborative in relation to that. So what does the DFC do now, in the next 10 months, and in the future? So facts. The DFC has approximately $38,000 available for grant funding. The DFC will receive a loan repayment of $300,000 at a time to be determined. Plumas County has hired and is onboarding a long-term disaster recovery coordinator, one to manage projects in the burn scar, and also prioritize county buildings like the library, town hall, and sheriff's substation. Also, in the time that the DFC has been founded, another organization has started here in Plumas County called the VOAD, the Plumas County VOAD, and it's formed to assist Plumas County Office of Emergency Services. So the VOAD is essentially a network of voluntary organizations, whether they be community organizations, faith-based organizations, and county entities that could be called upon in the event of a disaster. And also, there are a multitude of community organizations that are postured to progress functional area community initiatives, whether it be the Greenville Rotary, the Chamber of Commerce, the Innovation Hub, American Legion, Canopy Project, IVRPD, et cetera, right? So these are community organizations that we can continue to rely upon. Give me one moment, please. All right, can everybody still hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I had headphones in and they were starting to get low on battery, so I wasn't sure if you could hear me. So I'm just going to go without them at this point. Okay, so so here we are, option one, some things to consider. Here we are as is, continue to use all remaining DFC grant funds, reduce the steering committee meetings to once a month and make the second meeting an on-call meeting if it's necessary. Monitor Plymouth County initiatives toward burn scar recovery. So that would be coordinating with that long-term recovery coordinator. On that, I've just emailed Tracy Ferguson, who's going to be working with that person to get her onboarded. Her name is Kelly Ward, by the way. She was officially hired by the Board of Supervisors, I think 2 weeks ago. And so they're going through the process of onboarding her into the county employment cycle. And then we have plans to make plans to do the turnover of some of the items as it relates to long-term projects and programs. Stay connected with NVCF for any pending grant requests, and then pause until more is known about the Greenville Rancheria rebuild. One of the pieces on the rebuild is that from Grace is that if the Rancheria, if they know sooner than later that they're going to receive a significant settlement from PG&E, they won't need our loan, meaning that the $900,000 that we've talked to them about coming from North Valley Community Foundation and the DFC, if they don't need to take the loan, they won't take the loan. And that's presuming, of course, a lot of things. And chief among those is that the PG&E settlement that they think they may receive is substantial enough to accommodate their bill. What I've highlighted here in yellow are things that, so things that are not highlighted are basically the same as option one, but here we have a continuation of some type of community collaborative. So it ceases to be the Dixie Fire Collaborative, and maybe it becomes the Indian Valley Community Collaborative, or something along those lines. I put this bullet in here, recommend a gap in operation to determine need, scope, and reach. Right? So it would be healthy, I think, just to assess what our current community landscape looks like, to see exactly what the need is and what the scope is. Example is that with regard to the Dixie Fire Collaborative, it's been paramount to stay concentrated and focused on things that have and had to do with the Dixie Fire. There are any number of really interesting ideas, concepts, issues, concerns that come across the community. Whether or not they really fall in the sphere of the Dixie Fire Collaborative can be very difficult to discern, because the DFC is there, but back to its sort of stated mission and purpose. Some of the things that have come our way, they may not have to do with the Dixie Fire, and it can be difficult to not want to endeavor upon those ideas or concerns or issues, but in order to stay focused on the primary objectives, that's been one of the issues. And so why I'm recommending a gap is to really understand the terrain of our community and where it exists now, as opposed to where it was 4 years ago, as opposed to where it was 10 years ago. So how would this be different than what currently exists? Those items there, again, that are not highlighted, I just briefed those in option one. And then down at the bottom, use the $300,000 that gets repaid from the Greenville Rancheria as an implementation community startup, or like essentially the seed money for that next would-be community organization, administered by an organization to be designated later and governed by community members, much in this regard. And of course, this isn't much, this was just me kind of thinking like, well, this is an option, excuse me. Cease operations now, retain the remaining balance of the current Dixie Fire Fund, pause until more is known about the Greenville Rancheria. Again, these were just sort of, this is me in a silo and not necessarily like, that the opportunity here is, is to, it's the old saying is you may be the smartest in the room, but you're not smarter than the room, right? So there's a lot of heads and a lot of thinkers here that can come up with some pretty good ideas on how to hybrid some of those suggestions and see what a logical way to proceed is, given where we are financially, given where we are with the need currently exists to be, and also producing some get some sort of feedback mechanism on what and how this could go. If you recall, some of this was based, I had sort of like maybe I was overly optimistic with when we had the organizational summit almost a year and a half ago, April of 2024. The goal there was to try to sort of amalgamate some type of collaborative out of that to see if that could, evolve into what the next thing for the DFC could be. And that didn't necessarily happen. And that's okay. It just wasn't the right time and the right place. But now here we are again at a little bit of a tipping point, and the uncertainty around the loan repayment, or I keep saying loan repayment. It may never even exit our doors, meaning like we might get a call from the Rancheria in 2 months saying, you know what, we got great news from our attorneys. Can't share exactly what it is, but we're just not going to need your money. And then here we are, we go from approximately $38,000 and immediately go to $338,000. And that could happen. That could happen. And likewise with North Valley Community Foundation, money that they've set aside all of a sudden becomes available for other community funding. So I just want to make sure that everybody's kind of clear on that, because all of those factors have to be taken into consideration as we think about how to move forward. All right, so sorry, once again, talked a lot. It sounds like I'm losing my voice a little bit. Lina, go ahead. What do you have for us?
Yeah, you sound a little bit like me with this cold business that's going on.
That's right.
My internet is extremely unstable right now, which is why I turned off my video. So I didn't hear part of what you said in describing the options. Do we know any more about the status of the Rancheria money?
The short answer is no, we don't. What we do know is that their build is moving along steadily. So by December, January, because they'll have the job not only out for bid. The moment that they do the request for proposals, they have 30 days to make good on those requests, meaning that they owe their bidders, their general contracting companies, an answer as to what bid they're going to take. So then that springs them into spring of 2026 in order to start the bid. The estimated 16 million that I just talked to you about, that comes from their architect and their engineering firm saying, hey, as we look at this, the ballpark, where we are now in 2025, this is kind of what we think that this type of facility is going to cost, given some of the technical aspects that they need to have in there as a medical facility. But that will become, then they'll know specifically once their general the myriad of general contractors come back with bids to the project, so they know exactly what they're dealing with. And then, of course, is the PG&E settlement that's been out there for 2 years now.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, of course. Yes, Matt.
I mean, it's really interesting. We either have pretty much zero money or probably 900,000, because I don't know a lot of North Valley Community Foundation's investments, I assume, have been driven by DFC's kind of like leadership in terms of like following on funds and stuff like that. And so really it becomes like 900 grand. It's like a lot of money. So I don't have any thoughts beyond that, but it's quite interesting how kind of digital it is. It's either 0 or 1, like it's either a lot of money.
Yeah, these sort of binary decisions, right? With binary, like, exactly like you said, ones and zeros showing up on a spreadsheet, and in an instant, it could be significantly different.
I mean, it's quite interesting how they haven't, like, I don't know, I'm like a business guy, if someone's like, hey, I've got some money for you, I mean, I'm like, okay, here's my bank account, let's send it over right now. I don't know, that's just how business works normally. And it's really interesting that they haven't been more proactive or like, okay, here, let's get the money flowing. I don't know, it's so difficult to raise money, and if someone says yes and is like ready to give you money, as an entrepreneur, I'm like on it.
Well, and in defense of the Rancheria, some of the issues that they've had is that when they sent their plans in, they had their plans into Plymouth County in 2024,
Right.
And the county just had a difficult time negotiating and plan checking those plans, given back to the technical aspects of the building. So then the county then solicited an outside plan checker to actually review those plans, and that took months. I
Mhm.
think it took took close to 6 months
Right.
where they even got approval that, hey, you guys are good. So it has been a little bit of like, the death by 1,000 paper cuts type of stuff for them to even get to this point. But yes, understood that, like, if you can raise the dollars, then it's like, all right, cool, we got the money. Let's action this before it goes
Right.
away, right? I don't know if you caught it. I put in there that there's the potential for a grant. So the Rancheria has applied for a grant through a tribal organization, some type of national tribal organization that they are eligible to do so through. And the grant request is up to $3 million for that. So that is a significant component of what they can receive to put towards this build. And they believe that they'll get feedback on whether or not they've been awarded that grant before Christmas. So before the end of December, which is kind of lining up similarly with when they go out for bid, if they're going to receive that grant funding from another organization. So that's interesting. So yeah, there's just a lot hanging in the balance, and that's why it's hard to make any one. This is my feeling is that it's hard to make any one definitive decision right now because, if you make this decision, then this Pandora's box is open on this side. And so there's a lot at stake on the Rancheria component here. Yes, Sherry and Kest. Yes, Kest.
So just as I'm listening to what you're saying and reading the three options or listening to you talk about the three options, regardless of money, in the future, it seems to me that it would be good for our valley and Warner Valley and the rest of the burn scar to have some kind of organization that's trying to help us continue to rebuild. I liked your list. Maybe it needs to be representatives from organizations that are trying to do things. So maybe the collaborative, instead of being a representative from each area, it's a representative from each organization. So we have somebody from Rotary and Chamber of Commerce and from the county and somebody from Warner Valley still and that kind of thing. But not so much looking at the money that we already have from PG&E, but looking more at the future and how we can work together and support each other in getting our valley and everywhere in the burn scar rebuilt.
Yeah. I agree with
I
that.
hadn't thought of it in that direction, but
Yeah.
listening to you, maybe that makes sense.
Yeah, that's what I think about. I think of it more functionally than I do geographically in a lot of ways that and especially when, from this seat, as you talk to different groups or organizations, sometimes you hear some redundancy. It's like, oh, well, hey, did you know that, so A group over here, they want to do this for this event, but, Z group over here, they want to do, wow, that kind of sounds the same. Maybe you guys should partner. I think that stuff happens at the grassroots level enough. But if there was sort of a council that was of contributing members, right, that, once a quarter or something like that, a representative from each group meant, or maybe it's twice a year, I don't know. Something that's, you also don't want to make it too onerous to where it doesn't get the participation and the value that it deserves, right? To where people are just like, oh man, it's another meeting. I don't have time for that because I'm doing Little League and I'm doing Rotary and I'm doing, the thrift shop and I'm doing all these other things. But enough connective tissue to identify objectives and then keep the support for those objectives going with the county along the pathway of the recovery framework, right? Because there's been a lot of great work done around that recovery framework, and that's where I'm going to spend a lot of the time I have with that new coordinator of talking about the recovery support function and the projects. But also like that it's sort of cyclical. You got to keep coming back around to see how those projects have changed with where we are in the scope of the recovery. That, you know, wasn't a perfect plan 3 years ago or 2 years ago, 1 year ago. It was a part of a plan, and it needs to be iterated upon to get there. And it needs the feedback and engagement from our different organizations and just individuals as well. Yes, Lida, you have your hand up.
Well, is VOAD not an organization or a whatever that
Yeah,
an entity that can serve that purpose?
I think they can serve that. They
Yes.
the VOAD seems to want to retain that purpose for the next disaster, right? Meaning that like if we get a blizzard or a flood or a fire or anything in between, they would that network of organizations would be on call, ready to go to support that next would-be disaster. It's difficult to kind of repurpose them retroactively. And some
Okay,
of
so
them
they're not really looking at current needs. They're
correct.
looking future.
They're trying to organize better for the future state.
Okay.
Yes, Kim, you have your hand up.
Just a couple thoughts here on one on Greenville Rancheria. I think that I'd like to see this group think about a little bit is as we move forward, what do you see as appropriate terms for this loan? Because Patrick, myself, and Bill today went kind of down this rabbit hole of, oh, what happened 2 years ago? And basically, you know, 2 years ago, we put out some draft loan docs to them, and because we all thought it was going to be like we were going to be done by now, right? The building would be built. It was all going to go really fast, and they were going to get their PG&E settlement, and they, you know, that it would all, this would be a done deal. Now that, and once again, I'm still in the back of my mind thinking once they get the PG&E settlement, they probably, I would think they wouldn't maybe need the loan, but even if they say they want it, a couple years ago, we both kind of said, oh, a 1-year interest-free loan. And now it's kind of like that we need to go back and kind of look at, with our committee, our board, and you guys look at what exactly is it that we are offering Greenville Rancheria, these two loans, and if so, what's the length of those loans, and are those loans interest-free? Because I know, Patrick, you mentioned that one of the things Grace did say was, you know, they might want to get a handle on their operating budget and how soon they'd pay it back. And do you want a 5-year loan out there or a 3-year loan out there? How soon would this come, you know? And at some point when this committee does disband, which, you know, we know that's a natural thing to do, if there's still money in this account, we will need fund advisors. We will need a couple of people to stay on as fund advisors, to work with us on, you know, kind of the final plan of what to do with the dollars. And Matt's 100% right. With our money, we've always kind of looked to this group of community citizens to say, do you like this grant? Is it a good idea? Should we do it? And it's a worry even to have more at stake. And yeah, trying to come back 2-3 years down the road, at least, you know, for us, we know we've got staff that could do that, but that's thoughts in my head.
Yeah, thank you for that, Kim. It's helpful. Danny, you have your hand up.
I click the right thing. Yeah, I'm kind of the point is, you know, if they haven't used this in X number of years now, it's time to call the loan. It hasn't been exercised. Is it really need? We've been kind of walking all the way around this and everything else. I'm not seeing the demonstrated need, and I've heard the process, and the process have not exercised, but there could have been time in order to get the estimates and such. Money could have been used from that 300K to pay the people that went out, did the estimates and did the research, and money, that money could have been used for that, in my thought. And the money's been on the table, and there are other people that could use it.
Yeah, and to your point,
So
Danny,
why are we still playing this chicken and the egg? We should stop.
And to that point, Danny, I have asked as of today for a more concrete budget to identify what the need is, so that we can all be very clear. And I shared the timeline just to be able to understand better when the Rancheria would be making its decisions on its bill, and then just to get a little bit more fidelity. Not a little bit more, but a lot more fidelity on the plan moving forward, so that a very real decision can be made with regard to the disposition of that money.
Just very frustrating. I mean, from trying to be due diligence and everything else to be still dragging this out. It just doesn't seem that urgent.
Mhm.
Because it isn't, otherwise it would have been exercise.
Yeah. So that's the money issue. Cast back to your point about, like, with or without money, there's still a need for to create urgency around the rebuild, so that it's focused and concentrated effort on behalf of Plumas County, and then any other group or organization that has a kind of a functional contribution to this. One of the ideas I was batting around was putting out an electronic survey to the same sort of Rolodex of organizational leadership that I have, to just solicit feedback on what a future state organization looks like, in terms of a community council. Marcia, I know that you talked about how at one time there was a meeting at the Roundhouse Council of participants that kind of waxed and waned based off of what was occurring. And I think I know that I was sort of like thinking that maybe like this could be like a subgroup around, like at the Indian Valley Community Services District. I don't think that the environment exists for that to happen right now, just because the CSD has signaled that they just really want to kind of focus on their mission and purpose of water, sewer, and fire department, which is fine, which there's nothing wrong with that. But it's important to have willing participants if you want to launch something, right? So I think what I might do is kick out another survey and just get some feedback on what people may like to see, and then what level of commitment they can provide to that end state. Might be the next step, just to get a little bit more solicitation of what people are thinking. Yes, ma'am.
We also had people that would email, they couldn't come. And so they would email us what their group was doing. So then we could report it at the meeting and know what was going on there.
Yeah, that's very helpful too. Just even getting a blurb, a snapshot. All right. Well, again, please continue to kind of brainstorm on this independently. And I think what I'm going to do is send out essentially like a shared document that we can just keep, jotting down ideas to get those ideas into more concrete concepts, and then kind of turn that into a plan of action from there. All right. I think I touched on this last time we talked, but I wanted to identify it. So I met with Jane Brown today. She's the band instructor for both the elementary and high school, and then both the Greenville Elementary School, Indian Valley Academy, and then both Chester Elementary and Chester High School. And so she's planning this trip for, it's really kind of a conglomerate effort of the band. So it's mostly high school students from what I understand, but there are some elementary students just because of their proficiency and whatnot. And this is a trip that they would be taking in the spring. It's an educational trip. However, it is to Disneyland. I think they get to perform there. And then there's this studio component where they actually, travel around with a sound engineer, and they understand how music is recorded, engineered, etc. So that's something that they're raising funds for as a youth component. And we may be seeing a request coming from them in the next couple of weeks. Friends of Plumas Animals. I got an email today from Leanne Schrammel. And I will I'll send it out. But the Friends of Plymouth Animals, they are planning on submitting a grant request as well. And that would be through the PAWS organization. And I'll just read this so everybody's clear. Our PAWS have been busy creating a detailed budget per your request in order to submit a small grant early next week. We appreciate you considering the efficacy of our project and the value of granting us the funds to continue our work. The Spayathon is a collaboration of two local nonprofits, including the Friends of Plymouth County Animals and PAWS. And Friends has the lead. The event, which was started in October of 2023, was to curb populations of feral community cats in Plymouth County, especially in Indian Valley following the Dixie Fire. We have written letters of support from dozens of people, or we have written letters of support from dozens of people and groups, including Audubon. To date, 5 enormously successful events have been held, with the last one being most recently on October 18th, 2025. To date, we have spayed or neutered roughly 300 cats, a 50-50 split between males and females. Last March in 2025, we were able to fix 38 females, which possessed 89 fetuses. The sheer number of cats precluded by our largely volunteer effort is staggering. Rotarian Doyle Ralston donates his facility, and 3 to 4 vets volunteer their services. Each vet can treat about 25 cats a day. Trapping is accomplished by a handful of volunteers using 100 traps originally purchased by Plymouth County using Dixie Fire monies from the county's original PG&E settlement and distributed across the county. An individual event budget ranges from $7,000 to $10,000, depending on the number of vet technicians and supplies. Supplies include any medications needed for individual cats, vaccines, anesthesia, and surgical kits. Managing population takes consistent attention. Considering each female cat can produce 2 litters a year with approximately 2 to 5 kittens, well, do the math. It would be amazing if the DFC could help with $2,000 for our March event and continue donating to ensure that the future of this amazing project. The benefits are many. Thank you for considering. Leanne Trammell, Friends of Plymouth County Animals. So again, there hasn't been a grant request submitted, but there will more than likely be one forthcoming by the next time we meet. Yes, Greg, you have your hand up.
I just want to say that my understanding is that over the weekend, they got 85 cats spayed and neutered.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that's a lot of kittens that they avoided.
Yeah. Right. That's a lot. That I believe that the grant request will be coming from PAWS, which is a nonprofit located in Quincy. But they've been working with the I think if you recall, I mentioned that that Mary Shiro had approached me about the potential for grant funding for the Greenville Fire Cats. And I think what this would do is that would reduce what that organization would request, because since this spay and neuter-a-thon, these spay and neuter-a-thons have already been occurring with this organization, they would just go with that and then potentially reduce what the Greenville Fire Cats was looking for.
Yeah.
But they have not submitted yet either. Danny, you have your hand up.
Yeah, you just kind of hit it. I was wondering how this would impact cats or even just eliminate.
Yeah, because I think when Mary first approached me, she brought up these spay and neuter-a-thons, but it sounds like this is taking the place of that. And I know when I talked to Leanne about it, she was going to follow up with Mary and just to make sure that they weren't duplicating effort here. So,
Awesome.
So anyway, just food for thought as it stands right now. Okay, it is 5:08, so I know we're definitely a bit over on an unofficial meeting here because we didn't approve, deny, or modify anything here. Just talking. But with that, Danny, I thank you for the updated treasurer's report. And it looks like there's about 38,000 at hand. Is there anything you'd like to elaborate on with that?
Nothing on the budget, but just a comment that there's a group of us that have organized and getting some fire insurance inspections to reduce the insurance fees, so. And hopefully that, then somebody's been in contact actually with Marcia, I believe, as far as trying to organize another small group for Firewise type of community somehow. I don't know
Yep.
how that's gonna go, but just kind of other things going on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I hopefully you were able, the team was able to read some of my notes from that insurance forum. And Marcia, I did get your voicemail. I'll reach out to you and Daryl separately, well, like as a trio, and we'll get something on the books, this week. I can meet this week face to face if that helps. Marcia, do you have anything for the team?
I would like to compliment Danny on his new fences around his property and his new lawn. Looks really nice.
The weeds, lawn, oh,
And you know,
Right.
I'm hearing all these grants and I'm thinking, oh, this is for jobs, or this is for housing. We need both. And then I saw a thing today from the Plymouth Rural Services. It said that they were working on a bunch of housing that they were going to put in, I think they're duplexes to house a lot of the people that work for them. Did anybody else see that?
I didn't see that, but I think it sounds awfully familiar with regard to the RA rent. Gosh, I just blanked on the concept name, but build to rent model that was shifting from the Almanor Foundation to Plymouth Rural Services. So that's, I think we talked about that last meeting with regard to the $8.75 million of CDBG DR funding that's going to PRS. And then they have about a $3 million gap of funding that would need to be found, which they're prepared to take out a loan for, but if they can get nonprofit and or corporate donations to offset the amount that they need to get through Plymouth Bank or whatever lender that they go with, that would be helpful. So, and that I think the last time we talked, there was by November, Plymouth Rural Services would have an updated work plan from HCD, Housing and Community Development, on what those requirements are, because that money will still go through from Housing and Community Development through Plymouth County to PRS. But that would be a scattered site development of I believe 18 sites with 2 units per. So we're looking at 38 potential units available for rent.
Would that be around Plymouth County?
It would be, yes, it would be in Plymouth County. I think they're trying to have the preponderance though in Indian Valley, with a fraction being in Quincy. I don't know the exact percentage split. I think it also depends on which lots they can get secured. That's a big part of it. Yeah. Matt, I like your hat.
I'm outside the Evergreen, downtown. So downtown Greenville's looking good. The way station, the roof is going up. They're putting all the beams up, all the trusses. So that's quite exciting. And then, is that a church going up, Marsha? Is that your church that's
No,
going
it's a
up on?
Catholic church.
That's like Saint.
Oh, that's the
Anthony,
Catholic Church going
the
up.
Catholic
Okay,
Church.
cool.
St. Anthony's, yeah.
Yeah, great. So things are going on. But yeah, everything's looking good on down in Crescent Mills. A meeting on Thursday with the Sue Weber, who's representing the Parks Department, and Tracy representing the county, talking about potential of the kind of the downtown Crescent Mills kind of development plans and how potentially that could be structured with those guys. Anyway, so that's all happening, and the hotel's looking good.
Cool.
Should be painting it this week.
I love the
Mm.
big Crescent Hotel on your roof now. That just
Oh,
appeared.
thank you.
Beautiful.
Yeah, we did that. Yeah, it was pretty cool. Big stencil.
That's neat. Yeah, it looks great.
Thank you.
Craig, do you have anything for the team?
No, I'm good. I really do think the hotel and everything is looking really nice. You know, so yay, Matt. Yeah, that's about it right now.
All right, thank you. Lida, anything?
No, I kind of gave my report at the beginning.
Yeah, and we'll look forward to the 28th to be able to take a field trip
Yeah.
and see some biochar.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you all very much, and I'll be in touch with just some summaries of this, and then we'll just kind of go from there. Okay.
Okay.
Great. Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you. Have a nice night.
Thanks.
Feel
Bye,
better.
guys.
Thank you.